they compromised people.
And it's been going on forever.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, they've
Forever, dude.
It's got to be going on right now still.
100%. But
That's Joe Rogan, not speculating, not ranting, reading directly from the Epstein Files. And then
Jeffrey
he said
Epstein.
the one thing that froze everyone in the room.
Is there a Jeffrey Epstein right now that we don't know about?
There's a million of them.
A million, not one,
Did he?
not a few, a million. But here's the part that nobody, and I mean nobody, is connecting right now. It wasn't just about who visited the island. It wasn't just about who flew on the plane. Joe Rogan went deeper than that. He found something inside those files about what those parties were actually doing to the people inside them. Not just politically, not just legally.
If you really do the math, there has to be so many high-level powerful people somehow compromised.
Compromised. That word is doing more work than anyone has stopped to unpack. Because Rogan wasn't just talking about blackmail, he was talking about infection. A system designed to get inside you your secrets, your vices, your body, and never let go. And the names attached to that system, they will make your jaw drop. January 30th, 2026, the Department of Justice releases what is now the largest document dump in the entire history of the Epstein case. We're talking over 3 million pages, 180,000 images, 2,000 videos, all of it dropped onto the public internet at once. The internet goes into complete meltdown. Everyone's searching the same things. Who flew on the plane? Who visited the island? Who signed what? And almost immediately, one name came up that nobody expected. Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
He was in
thanks.
Files.
And just like that, Rogan gets in front of it. He explains that back in 2017, a physicist named Lawrence Krauss, one of his own podcast guests, passed along a message. Epstein had reached out, thought Rogan was funny, wanted an introduction. Rogan Googled the name, found the 2008 conviction for soliciting a minor, and shut it down immediately.
Yeah, but I would have never went anyway. It's like, it's not even a possibility that I would ever went.
But did
Especially
you-
after I Googled it. I was like, what the f are you talking about?
One Google search, that's all it took. And
Right.
it kept his name out of those files for the right reasons. But here's the thing. While Rogan was digging through those documents to confirm his own story, he found something that had absolutely nothing to do with him. Something that went far deeper than Epstein the man. And his reaction wasn't relief. It was dread. Because what Rogan found wasn't just a list of names. He found a system. And that system had a feature nobody was talking about, a mechanism baked into the very design of those parties. A way of making sure that once you walked through that door, you never fully walked back out. Let's stop treating the Epstein parties like they were just lavish gatherings where bad things happened to incidentally be present. Rogan breaks this down in a way that reframes everything.
I bet it was a real good honeypot where there's a lot of sophisticated intellectual discourse. You got a lot of brilliant people there. You've got great music, you know. You got like famous people are hanging around too.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems really cool. And then, if there's blackmail, the blackmail is like snuck into all this.
Yeah.
Snuck in, come to the room with the cameras. And next thing you know, you're doing cocaine.
Snuck in. That is the key word. This wasn't a crude operation. It wasn't some backroom thing that screamed danger from the outside. It was designed to feel like the most elite, most intellectually stimulating, most exclusive environment on Earth. And once you were comfortable, once the environment had gotten inside you, the trap closed. And here's where it gets medically disturbing, because the files didn't just reveal who visited. They revealed correspondence, emails, draft messages saved in Epstein's own accounts. And inside one of those documents, there was a detail so specific, so personal, that it tells you exactly what kind of leverage these parties were designed to produce.
These two drafted emails are both dated July 18th, 2013, and they were saved in Jeffrey Epstein's email accounts. They appear to be draft emails from Epstein to itself. It's not actually clear who authored them, and there's no indication the messages were ever sent.
Now, the content of those emails. According to reporting on the files, one of those draft messages contained a claim that Epstein helped a prominent billionaire deal with consequences involving an STD. The email allegedly included a request from that person asking Epstein to delete messages referencing the infection, even requesting that antibiotics be secretly obtained. And that billionaire, the one named in those unverified draft emails, was Bill Gates.
A representative for Gates strongly denied those claims, telling CNN they were, quote, absolutely absurd and absolutely false.
The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that. It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women.
Gates is denying everything. And to be clear, these emails were never sent. They were unverified drafts. Nobody has proven their authenticity. But here's what you can't explain away. The volume of documented contact between Gates and Epstein. Dinners in 2010, lunches in 2011, meetings continuing through 2013 and 2014, a planned meeting in Norway, a Skype reminder, years of calendar entries all after Epstein's 2008 conviction.
They all hung out with him even after he got arrested. This is what's crazy.
That is crazy.
A lot of Bill Gates meetings with him were after he was prosecuted. And he got this little slap on the wrist, and he got essentially home detainment.
So Rogan's question isn't just rhetorical. Why would some of the most powerful people on Earth continue meeting with a convicted sex offender? Unless the relationship had produced something that made walking away feel more dangerous than staying. That is the infection, not a metaphor, a mechanism. And then Melinda Gates came forward, and what she said tells you everything.
No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. For me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage.
She left the marriage. She said she had to leave the foundation. She said the details around Epstein brought back memories of her most painful years. She didn't spell it out. She didn't have to. The audience connected those dots themselves. And that is exactly the kind of infection Rogan is talking about. It doesn't just destroy the person who walked into the room. It spreads. It contaminates marriages, families, reputations, legacies. Now let's talk about the names that keep surfacing, because the celebrity angle of this story is where it gets genuinely explosive. Rogan has been consistent about one thing throughout all of his commentary on the files. The most dangerous people in the Epstein orbit weren't the ones who knew everything. They were the ones who knew just enough.
And I would hear about Chris Tucker and people hopping on the plane to go there. I didn't know that Epstein was, the bad guy that he is now, but I was like, damn, I would love to go.
That's Terrence Howard, by the way, openly admitting that if he'd been invited, he would have gone. No questions asked, because in those elite circles, getting that invitation meant something. And then Chris Tucker himself was confronted about his name appearing in the flight logs.
Tucker goes, yeah, I did go on that flight, but we went to Africa and I went with a bunch of diplomats. I didn't know who this Epstein guy was. Chris Tucker basically confirmed that the list was like legit because he's on it.
He wasn't denying the list. He was explaining his entry on it. And in doing so, Rogan points this out directly. He validated every other name on that same document. This is the wall. This is the structure, not outright denial. Carefully worded admission, controlled narrative. Everyone knows just enough to protect themselves. Nobody knows enough to take the whole thing down. Now, what about Elon Musk? Because Musk has publicly stated that Epstein repeatedly tried to get him to visit the island and that he declined every single time. But the files told a different story.
Elon Musk, he said that he refused to go to the island, and then in these new files, it came out, I think it was an email that said, what day or night will be the wildest party on your island, to Jeffrey Epstein.
That email is dated November 2012. A year later, Musk writes to Epstein again, asking about visiting during the holidays. Epstein replies, always space for you. And yet Musk told Vanity Fair in 2019 that Epstein repeatedly tried to get him there, and he declined every time. So either the emails don't represent actual visits, which is possible, or Musk's public statement wasn't the complete picture. And then, in the middle of his very public feud with Donald Trump, Musk himself tweeted, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein Files." Minutes later, mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. Think about that for a second. A man whose own name appears in Epstein emails pointing fingers at the president's Epstein ties. Here's where Rogan's research goes, somewhere the mainstream coverage still refuses to go. Everybody keeps asking who was on the island, but Rogan kept asking a different question. Who was above the island?
A guy like that is running these kind of parties with all these rich and powerful people. How many different worldwide decisions can be manipulated because of these people and the compromises you have on them?
Right.
It's really a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
From an intelligence perspective.
Brilliant. An intelligence operation disguised as a party circuit. And according to the files, that operation had two architects above Epstein that almost nobody is discussing. The first is Les Wexner, the billionaire founder of Victoria's Secret. You probably didn't know his name before this, but the files contain it over 4,000 times. He didn't just know Epstein, he built Epstein. He gave him full power of attorney over his financial empire. He handed him a $77 million Manhattan mansion, the same one where investigators later found evidence of systematic abuse. And when the 3 million documents dropped, Wexner's name appeared correctly in nearly every single document, except